Well, not every video has to be a good news story, at least in the beginning. Maybe it'll be a good news outcome, but I'm not really sure. Welcome back to DONSLIFE and welcome to the channel. You may recall 2 years ago, I installed a level kit, the 1.75 inch level kit for the front end to level out my GMC Sierra AT4. What we know about these 2-inch pre-lifted trucks from GM is that they are very finicky when it comes to changing any of the suspension components up here in the front. In fact, the #1 warning that you get, they tell you not to use auto 4-wheel drive anymore because those CV axles are now stressed a little further than what they were designed for. Now, out of all the different kits, this was the one from ReadyLift that didn't have that disclaimer, at least in print. And I really wanted to level the truck a little bit so I could get a little more clearance for my bigger wheels up at the front. And for 2 years, we have been mostly trouble-free. That wasn't until I got under there and noticed a little bit of seepage on the passenger side CV axle closest to the transfer case. I suppose the good news there is we caught it early, so it doesn't look like there's going to be any contamination inside the CV axle itself. But if you know anything about CV axles, they always recommend to replace 2 at the same time. So that's what we're going to do in today's video. And replace them with another brand that's designed to extend a little further and not be at risk as much as these ones are when it comes to a level truck. So we've got these here from TrakMotive. That's the part number. And these are supposed to articulate to a higher degree, and they're supposed to be a little bit longer. So as long as we can get them to fit, we'll install those today. Now, to make this job easier and go a lot quicker, I'm gonna borrow some space in an actual shop with a lift. My daughter's boyfriend's family has a shop where they flip vehicles. We're gonna go borrow their lift. He's gonna help me out. That's my daughter's boyfriend. He'll help me out. We'll see if in a couple of hours we can bang this out, and then we'll drive home, get some first impressions, assuming that we get these in. And we'll just have to see what happens because I don't know what to expect. Let's go. Now, some of you are wondering, like even the drive here, there's no vibration, there's nothing to suggest that the CV axles have gone bad. I just noticed the grease seepage out of the passenger side, you know, kind of that spray that you get, probably from an event where it heated the grease or got really hot. And then it got past the seal, past that band clamp, and then we lost a little bit of the grease. Again, I feel that we caught it early, so it's nothing catastrophic. We're just gonna try these other CV axles to see what they're like and if they work. I decided to record this because one, it's kind of what I do, but also I haven't seen much at all in the way of videos when it comes to replacing CV axles on these 1500 2019 to 2026 GMC Sierras and Chevy Silverados. I know what happens, but the videos, there's not much out there. First, we had to find the best and safest spots to lift the truck. Now that we are in the air, we can get these big dirty wheels off and let the real work begin. Starting with all the wiring brackets, lines, and sensors, do yourself a favor and take a picture of the clip orientation. Ask me how I learned that lesson. The driver's side also has a brake pad life sensor, so be careful with that. With the wires and lines out of the way, we separated the tie rod before directing our attention to the upper ball joint. We found that hitting the ball joint upwards with the nut attached to protect the threads worked best. Next, we removed the axle nut without issue. Now, we hope to have enough room not to remove the brake caliper, but our hopes were shattered when we realized we needed the extra room. Of course, the wire connection for the sensor is extremely fragile. Be careful not to break it. It almost defeated us, but we endured and we finally disconnected it. I think it took the longest out of all the steps. With the caliper out of the way, we just needed to pull out the CV axle, which only required some gentle prying. Okay, that wasn't too dramatic. Using a hoist makes all the difference. But this is a comparison of the new CV axle with the old. You can see this one's in okay shape, but actually looks pretty good. Either way, we're replacing it with this one, and the design of this one, albeit is a little bit longer, it's also going to be able to articulate as we need it to, knowing that the truck is leveled, which means it's lifted a little bit in the front. And then the design difference here is this middle shaft is able to compress and expand. So this will compress down, and then when it needs to be longer, when the suspension's drooping, then it can actually extend a little bit. The time will tell Let's see if we can get it in. That's going to be the biggest job.
Now theoretically, we should be able to put everything back in reverse. But it turns out that mature muscle really is a thing. Who knew this job would require some brute strength? Good thing I'm here. After giving my daughter's boyfriend a chance, he allowed me to step in. Now maybe this was a strategy on his part, making me look good, probably the right move, and a way to score some points. Either way, we got it in, and we were ready to start reassembling.
Oh, look at you. No problem.
The second hurdle was getting enough pressure on the upper ball joint to secure it. We ended up having to lower the hoist, then use a floor jack to push upward on the bottom control arm, create some extra pressure, and then with a little help from a pry bar, we could cinch up this nut. So up with the hoist for better access, we assembled the brake caliper, a couple other things. Here's where a quick reference picture would have been handy to make things go a little smoother, but eventually we got it. And now we had to torque the wheel nut. Good thing I was there because I could put my body weight behind it to get that sucker torqued down.
All right, we've got this side mostly done. We have a clip we want to re-put on here, and we still have to torque the ball joint up. But this side is mostly complete. We're just starting the other side.
Now that we are experts, this should be a breeze. That's usually how it goes, right?
All right, so here's the other one. In this one you can see the leaking is a little more prominent. But that's not the dead giveaway. I'll show you what is. That's the dead giveaway. See that grease splatter? Check yours out. If you see grease splatter, that means it's leaking from your boot. Okay, well, let's see if the old guy can get it in.
That's what she said.
So they do fit, we know that. That's how it's done. Don't laugh at me. One day you'll wonder why you're sore every morning you didn't exercise the day before.
Yes, the final stretch. Just making sure everything is to the right torque specs. And from my perspective, everything looks pretty good. And it really only took us a couple of hours.
Well, there they are. Nothing making contact. Pretty good clearance. Let's do it on this side. Well, now we just have to get home and see how it behaves on the way. I'm just going to put it in auto. Now you don't need a wheel alignment when you do this, so everything should be good there. Feels good. Okay, we'll test the all-wheel drive here. Yep, got them all spinning. Grabbed. That was nice. Oh, here we are, highway speeds. Everything feels good. Radar's going off. Feels nice. Just another visual inspection here.
good. Looks okay. I have the wheel turned just so I can see a little better.
I must say, things are looking pretty good. I know that it's just CV axles, but when you know a part like that is failing in your drivetrain, you just feel a lot better when you replace it with something that should be sound. But time will tell. Home sweet home. So these are the axles again, GM 8545 XTT for extended travel. I think what attracted me to these the most was the extended length and compressed length. They pull in and out. So the actual shaft in the middle here has the ability to move in and out. So hopefully we don't run into the same issues we had with the factory ones. Now, full transparency, my only concern is if I get the front wheels airborne and I'm at full droop, the CV boots get very, very close to the bottom of the shock. So they could rub on there and then rip it open. Don't know how many jumps I'm going to take between now and then, and that might not even happen. But if I did take a jump, maybe I would damage them. So I'm going to keep running them for a while. I'm not saying go out and buy any right away. You can let me be the test mule if you want, but I'm going to keep running in auto 4-wheel drive and just see how they hold up through the winter. Obviously, I'll put it in 4-wheel drive if we get deeper snow than we have right now. But regardless, I will link them in the video description below. So if you want to do your own research, well, you can. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep running these. I'm hoping for the best. So far, so good. If you found this video informative, please hit that like button, consider subscribing, and we'll talk to you next time.